Hey, this is Mark here for Guitar.com. I wanted to do a short video and talk about Mixolydian mode. The last 3 lessons that we've talked about have been text-only lessons with some musical examples, and a lot of the readers out there have asked for some video coverage. So I wanted to kind of take the last couple of lessons and just sort of talk through them and give you some ideas on the fingerboard, and also wanted to let you hear what it's going to sound like. So the first concept was the Mixolydian scale was a major scale with a flatted 7th. So here's what it sounds like. Take your major scale, find your 7th note, which is here. If you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and just lower it down 1 fret. And that's all you have to do. Mixolydian scale, major scale, flat 7. You can move positions. Play arpeggios. It's a really useful scale. One of the things the article started to talk about was how to figure out when to use it. Because it's nice to know about modes, but even nicer to know when to use them. The first big trick was the Mixolydian chord progression. And basically what we're talking about here are what chords are contained within the Mixolydian scales. And in this case, it's actually really simple. What you always want to do is start out with your home chord. In the case of E Mixolydian, it's going to be an E major chord. And if you go 2 frets down from anywhere from your home chord, you're going to get the next chord in the Mixolydian chord scale, from E to D. And the guitar transposes this so easily. If you're looking at D Mixolydian, it's D and C. If it's A Mixolydian, it's A and G. So it makes it really easy to find a basic Mixolydian progression. So if you just hear E and D by itself, that's enough to make a Mixolydian chord progression. However, you don't typically stop there. You typically have at least 1 more chord, because rock songs usually get at least 3 chords. So in this case, we're going to throw in an A chord. So it'll be E, D, and A. It's a very common progression with Southern rock, jam bands like Fish and the Grateful Dead. On the guitar, one of the most common Mixolydian keys is D Mixolydian, which goes like this. So you'll have your D chord, followed by your C chord, followed by your G major chord. That breaks down theory-wise to a 1, a flatted 7, and a 4 chord. But if you also notice on the fingerboard, it does a really cool thing. You're doing this sliding shape where you take the same chord shape for major, go down 2 frets, and then wherever you land 2 frets lower, you move 1 string down, but you keep the same fret. So it's 5th fret, 3rd fret, 3rd fret. And that shape repeats in any key. Now you can take that over to some open chords. If I play a little arpeggiated style over that, you'll hear a very familiar song. Alright, so now that we've found the progression, what can you do with these chords? So there's a couple other things that you want to take a look at when you're looking at these chords. And it's not that there's 3 chords, but the most important chord is the 2nd chord in the progression. D, C. Now why is the C chord so important? Well, the D chord by itself isn't really Mixolydian, isn't really even major, it's just a simple major triad. You don't quite know what key it's coming from. The D chord with the G chord, that's also not special because you've got D chords and G chords and a whole bunch of different keys. The trick is to think about what your formula is. Mixolydian is major flat 7. And once you know it, the flatted 7th note in D is a C. So you're actually building a chord off of the most important note in the scale. Well, arguably the second most important note. The root's pretty important too. But the root and the flatted 7th are sort of what define this mode. So you're playing now the chord that has the most important note for this mode in it, followed by a nice sounding note, chord that accompanies those chords. So to make a Mixolydian chord progression, you really only need two basic factors. You need one, whatever chord names the key. So if it's Mixolydian, it's a major type mode, you want to have a major chord in the key that you're after. So in the case of D, you want a D chord. The second chord is going to be any chord that has the most important modal note. And in that case, it's the flatted 7th, and it's C. So we're going to get it by playing a C chord. But there's one other chord in the key of D Mixolydian that has a C in it, and that's an A minor, which makes another really cool Mixolydian chord progression. D, so that was D, A minor, C, G, back to D. So we sort of fulfill all the important things we were talking about. You start off with a D chord. There's your one chord in the key, the Mixolydian key. Then I wanted to get any chord that contains C in it. And there's my C in the A minor. Then I double reinforced it with a C chord. So that's the note again, this time it's the root. As you can tell, C minor and A minor and C major are very, very close. They both share E and C. And then we threw the G in because it sounded nice. You don't have to use it. You can just go, if you wanted to, you can go D, C, and A minor. And then back to D. You can do D, A minor, C. And of course, don't limit yourself to just the key of D. Figure out how these chords spread across the guitar. So let's go ahead and try it in the key of E. So there's your E1 chord. I could do the D major chord for giving me that flatted 7th, because flatted 7th from E is D. But the minor chord in this key is B minor. So let's listen to this progression. E, B minor, D. So I'm going to try to do lots more videos for you guys. I know it really helps clarify some of the concepts. But that should be a nice little wrap-up to our Mixolydian talk. And next month, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Lydian mode, which is a really pretty major scale with a sharp fourth. Until then, thanks a lot. This is Mark for Guitar.com.